welcome to another video upload that you're watching right now, episode 357 from Aspie with Attitude. To introduce myself, my name is David, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I have autism, Asperger's syndrome, that's why I call myself an Aspie. So, anyway, I just thought I'll end this one now, since I'm using the fidget spinner, which spins the longest on my nose, so I prefer to use these metal fidget spinners these days, as I just return back to my chair now. And something I want to talk about is going through phases, which I'll be getting to soon, just to have a bit of a quick recap of going through phases, something that I've done for episode 238. I've uploaded this on the 10th of June 2022. That's when I did talk about going through the two big phases, which I'll be talking about again. Like how I did for episode 67, did talk about when I once used to be into model trains, something that I've uploaded on the 2nd of August 2019. And I only prefer just to recap on episode 74, when I used to be a hip hop artist, something that I've uploaded on the 7th of September 2019. Just to give you one piece of mind though, like how is it that I became a train enthusiast? I was in model trains, going from that to becoming a rapper, an MC or a freestyler, going by the name Foodbex, and going from that to becoming an autistic YouTube content creator that I am now, since I've started this channel back on the 26th of May 2018. Alright, just finished with a quick introduction now, we'll just dive right into it. One thing you need to know is there's a term called hiatus. What hiatus means is, it's when you go through interruption or any disturbances, like we're talking about disturbances in the status quo, that's there to sustain the special interest I'm going through. Since I was previously into trains, and I was previously into hip hop, there was a hiatus that interrupted those two big phases that made me who I was back then. And while at the moment though, it's pretty much all about Lego and make this autistic YouTube content creator channel there. What causes those hiatus is anxiety and depression. So I can just quickly mention episode 196, which was autism and depression, something I've uploaded on 11th of September 2021. Just to go through autism and depression once again it's just when you just start to feel less motivated and you just got like spikes in your head, and it's kind of when you go through a bit of a mental illness, kind of like your brain's just feeling a bit sick at the moment. It's almost like with anxiety, you don't really see the life I had before. So like going through depression would have actually destroyed my interest in trains, and there's another time I went through depression which destroyed my interest in hip hop. And one of these days, even depression could actually prevent me from adding or uploading any more videos to Aspie with Attitude. So anyway, just to sort of move on forward, since I'm in that moment doing episode 357, filmed this on the evening on the 25th of August 2024. I can remember when I first got into trains at the age of 13. I used to ride the train to school, and there was this one particular train in Melbourne that's one of a kind, which was the Melbourne double-decker train, which I used to call 4D units or the Melbourne Tango or whatever. I remember getting that train, and after a while, that's when my interest in trains started to grow and nurture. It wasn't until I was 15 years old when I first got involved with model trains and model railways, since I used to be more into Australian trains back in those days. I remember this getting to its peak when I was 16, 17 and 18 years old, pretty much throughout my whole high school days. Very unaware what I've mentioned back in episode 217, which is autism and rejection, something I've uploaded on the 25th of January 2022. So what happened there was, when I was in high school, I just didn't know how to make any friends, and I got pushed away. Maybe I talked too much about trains, and maybe what everyone wanted to know is some of the dirty things I've said, which did grab someone else's interest. Like, just while I was manipulated, it just come back, because like, people just didn't care about trains. That's all it is. Because like, most of the people I want to be friends with were more into music. We're talking about things like Pearl Jam, Metallica, and in the hip hop, like you've got Beastie Boys, Coolio, Run DMC, and Nas Morissette. Didn't really follow any music till I did eventually buy a Walkman off one of my same age peers in high school. Anyway, so like, going through rejection, I had stuttering, and the biggest distraction I had for all that was actually engaging with trains and model trains. Every day I used to study for trains all the time, and I had done train videos on this channel before, just a few of them. It pretty much went up to when I was the age of 19, went through a hiatus. I had finished high school and pretty much went to what I would describe as tech school, which is actually in between high school and university. At that time, yes, I did have the time to do my trains, but there was never any money to do my trains. And when I couldn't get into any of the big universities, I ended up taking up a full-time job. I was forced to take up a second job that I didn't want to take on, which happens to be doing paper rounds. Yes, I did finally get the money to do trains, but never the time to do my model trains. It was kind of out of my reach. Yeah, knowledge was strong. Yes, I love my trains. Yeah, don't look at your trains and everything like that. I wish maybe kind of be sad, and without even being able to touch my trains. What I said in episode 217, it kind of caught up with me growing up as a 20-year-old back in year 2000. And that's when my hiatus in trains did actually begin. And what I did for a full-time job is, that's when I started getting sick from more toxic timbers. And I came from depression after when I was attacked at a nightclub back in 13th of July 2001, which prevented me from seeing my friends that I wanted to be friends with, some I could have, should have, or would have been friends with in high school. And losing that kind of acceptance since that, all my friends will go out to nightclubs, they'll go to pubs, and all that, and I'm sitting at home with my parents watching murder mysteries on a Saturday night. Oh yes, dudes, like something that a 21-year-old or 22-year-old didn't want to do at the time, particularly in my generation. Just trying to think I'm going to become some sort of folk devil. Anyway, I was just going through depression. I thought one way I could get over depression is, previously when I was 20, there was one time all that breakdancing came on TV. I had to do my paper round. Back in 2000, I had a massive meltdown, and Mum said, yeah, I can go back to the TV later, once it's over. So back in those days, like, I was just so much in a bit of a mess. One thing I did anything in the world was like put duct tape and a smartphone around there so I can watch my breakdancing and do a paper round. That was my fantasy back then. But when I did get over my paper round, all I had to put up with was these DIY shows, cooking and gardening shows, and said, look, there you go, you can watch TV. But what does cooking, gardening and doing all this DIY have to do with breakdancing? The idea was just a sort of like to keep me away from breakdancing and pretty much build a bit of character, start being an adult, because like my father told me that breakdancing was only for 11, 12-year-olds. Or even when I was 22 years old, I did talk to my father that I wanted to take up breakdancing and start going to breakdancing classes, which I never did in the end. Well, as it happens though, like, obviously my father did not want me to become like that Australian woman, or that Australian, like I don't consider myself as an Olympian like Ray Gunn. You should have seen how the Australian breakdancer actually made a complete fool out of herself in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. So I put that aside then. So like I was badly depressed back then, like having a job that I didn't want to have, and never any time to see my friends that I want to be friends with. And pretty much when the paper rounds were over and all that too, I was able to get into my next phase, which was 23 years old in 2003. I was supposed to have been hanging out with my friends at the Big Day Out concert, which is a big music festival. Particularly, they were all into Foo Fighters. My expectation was to be hanging out, meeting up with my friends, hanging out with them. Like, since there was thousands and thousands of people, never had to meet up with my friends, never owned a phone at a time. That's when I discovered Australian hip hop. Instead of walking out of a music festival as a die-hard Foo Fighters fan, I instead walked out, don't want to become a rapper, going by the name of Fubex. Instead of breakdancing, I decided to become an MC, a rhyme lyricist, a rhymer, a freestyler, or a rapper, whatever you want to call it. That kind of like took an edge off that depression, and I was able to put the time when I was rejected from my peers behind me. It wasn't until 2016 that I hit another brick wall, which affected my rapping. The reason why I went through depression once again is like, this is supposed to be 2016. So like 5-6 years on since my father died, and since I was actually living with my sister at the time, she was going through all these boyfriends, and most of the boyfriends she had, as I mentioned back in episode 97, when it's all in the past, talked about how they made an absolute mess out of this place. Well, you gotta watch that video, since I don't want to make this such a long video, which could get very traumatising for me. Anyway, that led me to depression, and at the same time though, I was getting work bullied, which had been resolved. It wasn't until when I was that all happened when I was 36 years old, the same age when that Aussie woman Ray Gunn was like raving instead of breakdancing in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, the breakdancing event. So, apart from that though, I got to the age of 37 when things got kind of resolved, took a trip to America, and decided to make a decision to give up a house I was living in, since the house I was living in at a time was making me feel depressed. And before you know it, I was out of there, and I came here in end of March 2018, didn't have the internet for 2 months. I fantasised I wanted to get back into hip hop again, get back into rhyming and MCing, which I never did in the end. So instead, when I was doing my research on autism to get myself inspired to rap, I was inspired to do all this instead. I've started this on the 26th of May 2018. More than 6 years I've been through this status quo, and life's just been good, making it as far as episode 357. So anyway, that's where my life story ends, just at that current video. You can see how like going through depression when I was 21, 22 years old disrupted my love interest in trains, and going through depression when I was 36 years old disrupted my passion of being a hip hop artist. And one of these days, what could actually disrupt my passion in making these autistic YouTube content creator videos that you're watching right now, Aspie for Attitude, could easily be depression or anxiety disorder. I had not experienced anxiety disorder probably since when I was 36 years old, and I can't remember if I know I've experienced depression very bad. Now I remember, when I was 36 years old, I've experienced anxiety disorder, which led me to depression. That actually put hip hop to a hiatus. Maybe next time, when I have anxiety disorder and go through depression, maybe that could be restored. That breaks the camel's back on doing this autistic YouTube video. So that's what I mean by hiatus. And I get to see how things have changed. Now I've gone from train enthusiast to rapper, from rapper to this. So anyway, if you like what I'm doing here, please, why not subscribe to Aspie for Attitude? That's all I ever ask for in terms of support. And also, please don't forget to ring this notification bell if you want to keep up to date with Aspie for Attitude. And also, please don't forget to like and share this video content around. That way, you're showing more support for this channel, Aspie with Attitude. Well, dudes, I reckon I've just seen enough and everything like that. I just didn't want to sort of elaborate too much on the time when I had depression and anxiety disorder, which I reckon is always best, like what I said for episode 97. It's when it's all in the past, it's all in the past. And it was just my special golden moment of filming episode 357 on the evening of the 25th of August 2024. Well, anyway, that's how I'm going to finish it. So, like, I just want to make these videos while I'm still in the happiest mood at the time. All thanks to that status quo that I've been going through for more than 6 years now. So anyway, let's finish it off then. Get it done with. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Aspie with Attitude. Peace and respect. See you in episode 358.